All sides, from the east to the west, north and south. Community Forum will examine the oddities and challenges to economic development, as well as issues yearning for government intervention. Watch fresh episodes of Community Forum on Sundays by 9:30 p.m. only on TVC News.
The TVC News at 7 and the TVC News at 10 are not like any other news broadcast.
It's the big news hour, the hour for the big breaking stories.
We've got some of the best reporters on the field.
Taking you through as it happens.
It's fast-paced, hot-paced.
With investigations that matter.
Bringing in news that affects your life.
Sports, entertainment and business news, so you don't miss a thing.
Experience resourceful coverage with depth.
Everything.
Every week, Green Angle, in partnership with Wild Aid, will bring you a documentary series on environmental issues affecting Nigeria's amazing biodiversity, from climate change, air pollution, and wildlife conservation. We will be traveling across Nigeria to give you on-the-ground report of the issues affecting our environment. It airs every Saturday at 4:30 p.m. only on TVC News.
Maya Angelou was a civil rights activist, poet, and award-winning author known for her acclaimed 1969 memoir, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, and her numerous poetry and essay collections. Angelou was born on April 4, 1928 in St. Louis, Missouri. Angelou had a difficult childhood. Her parents split up when she was very young. Around the 1960s, Angelou lived in Ghana working as an editor and a freelance writer. Angelou also held a position at the University of Ghana for a time before she joined a community of revolutionist returnees exploring Pan-Africanism and became close with human rights activist and black nationalist leader Malcolm X and
Thanks for staying with TVC News. Now let's focus on Africa. The Northeastern Democratic Republic of Congo, attacks by militants of allied democratic forces have led to the death of at least 16 villagers and the abduction of 20 others. According to the coordinator of the New Civil Society of Congo, the assailants staged a series of attacks on locals, some while working on their farmlands. Among those kidnapped in the attacks were the mother and sister of a local government official. The ADF have carried out growing attacks in the northeastern region and sometimes across the border with neighboring Uganda, where the group originated from. The Zimbabwean government had to reportedly embark on crackdowns on pro-democracy activists and opposition members of Crisis in Zimbabwe Coalition, a network of groups fighting for democratic freedom in the country. This is reportedly in its bid to host a summit of the Southern African Development Community today. The country's capital, Harare, is the first time the 16-member bloc of the Southern African Development Community will meet in Zimbabwe in a decade. Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa will also assume leadership of the SADC, a critical step for his administration. In anticipation of protests, police units flooded the streets this week. Since June, security officials have attacked activists and opposition party members at private hangout and protest venues, allegedly accusing them of trying to disrupt the SADC summit. And the 100 most notable African leadership and business summit has ended in Kigali, Rwanda, where prominent leaders and stakeholders from across Africa are still spotlighting the summit's significance in actualizing the African dream through innovative business ideas and responsible leadership. Convened by Ambassador Kingsley Amafibe, the four-day event, which featured panel discussions and plenary sessions, was aimed at creating new pathways for revolution in Africa's business and leadership ecosystem. Former Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan was represented by Prince Godswill Edward and emphasized the critical importance of unity among African nations. Zamfara State Governor Dauda Lawal addressed the need for developmental collaborations and flexible networks among leaders. He argued that such measures could accelerate Africa's progress toward achieving its goals. Now, for more on charting the African Dream, Project Director, Africa 100 Most Notable Peace Icons Africa Initiative, Dr. Kingsley Amafibe joins me on the World News now. Good afternoon. Yes, the African Leadership and Business Summit recently concluded in Kigali. Can you share some of the key outcomes from the summit and how they are expected to influence the business landscape in Africa over the coming years? Can you talk to us more about this business summit and how?
The recent 100 most notable Africa Business and Leadership Summit that was just concluded in Kigali, Rwanda. We talked about some milestones about the Africa dream when it comes to business. We talked about strategic partnership between the Africa business and the global investors. We also talked about youth empowerment initiative, a major focus on fostering entrepreneurship. We talked about policy recommendation. These are ways of regulating needs for and reform. We also talked about key factors of investment and creating a conducive environment for business. We talked about the agro business, also farming and food processing. So these are the major things that was discussed at the summit in Kigali.
With the increasing interest in the African markets, what key sectors do you believe hold the most potential for investors? And how can African governments create a more conducive environment for foreign direct investment?
Now, when we talk about a strategic partnership, these are one attention that we believe that was discussed majorly at the conference between the Africa business. Like I always tell people, Africa is the next business destination because we got a lot of mineral resources right now in our continent. And the major discussions were how we can attract investors to Africa. One of the major reasons also we looked at is political stability and governance. This is one platform that we believe that can ensure stability. Once we have a good environment, I guess investors want to come to Africa and invest.
Is often touted as the key to unlocking Africa's potential. Now, how can African nations work together more effectively to harness their collective resources and strengths for sustainable economic growth?
At the Africa Leadership and Business Summit in Kigali, we talked about visa restriction, and we believe that if we have this visa flexibility for people to move from one maybe a country to another, this will create maybe an opportunity for investors. Just take, for example, if you go to Europe, once you have a visa to access any of this country, you can do business anywhere. So this is one of the things we're calling on our African leaders to see how they can migrate every country to have this Pan-Africa visa policy that can help investors to transit from one country to the other.
I've been speaking with Project Director, Africa 100 Most Notable Peace Icons Africa Initiative, Dr. Kingsley Amafibe. Thanks indeed for your time with us. And back in Nigeria, the Customs Service has handed